Monsters coming down the hall. Spires cover all the walls. Serial killer is on the line. Wants to know if you have the time. Aliens are landing soon. This will mean certain doom. A chainsaw sputters and comes alive. Blood and death are close behind. One thing you can be certain of, the zombies just can't get enough. Just one more bite is all they want. The ghosts downstairs are on the hunt. The Shade Chronicles are keeping score. That's what all the writing's for. They record their stories one by one so you don't miss all the fun.
Welcome to Season 3 of the Shade Chronicles, a podcast featuring short works of sci-fi and horror fiction. Here are your hosts.
Hi, this is Derek Leford.
Hi, this is Lawrence Trokey, and thank you for spending your time with us.
The Shade Chronicles are keeping score. That's what all the writing's for. They record their stories one by one so you don't miss all the fun.
We can always just start talking and act like it all said, oh, hey, you turned it on.
I did just turn it on. So, because I know how to turn it on.
Ooh,
hey.
Are we live?
We are live.
Okay.
So, hi, guys. Welcome to this surprise, special, secret episode that wasn't on our schedule, and you had no idea because we never published a schedule. But this is the recap of Season 3 of the Shade Chronicles. This is the first time for us to do this. Mm-hmm. We had an extra week in the year, so figured might as well throw some content out there. Plus, we also have some stuff to talk about, some new stuff that is coming in 2026. And for all of those that might be interested, again, all four of you, you might want to put this on the calendar that this stuff's coming and watch out for it. So, but to start with, we're going to talk about Season 3 and just kind of recap what, in our opinion, was kind of the top 5 things about Season 3. And each of us have our own list of notes. Mine's better, of course, but we have our notes. So I'm going to let Derek start, and then I'll finish big. So, Derek.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts?
My 5 this year, and yeah, this would be mainly 2025, I guess. I was going to say it may go back to the actual beginning.
Well,
some of these things.
I mean, Season 3 is what we were talking about, but
right.
If you have some other insights to share, we love to hear it.
Well, I think there's maybe one of the 5. But anyway, first one is in 2025 was our ability to be able to get and use contributors to the episodes, because that brought a lot more stories that, well, one, we didn't have to come up and create with, not that we wouldn't wanted to, but it was something that came from other thoughts and ideas that I thought was a great way to advance the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And, no disrespect or judgment on what you and I have done in Seasons 1 and 2. I mean, I thought Seasons 1 and 2 were great. I had a lot of fun writing and creating for those. Mm-hmm. But there was this realization as Season 2 was going on. I mean, Season 1 was 5 episodes.
Right.
Just 5 episodes. So, that was manageable.
Yeah, and we had probably 30-something years to come up with those 5 stories.
Absolutely, right. You had a story that had been sitting in the hopper for, or several stories, actually. Yeah. And I had maybe 1 or 2, and then some ideas, but we had stuff just sitting there.
Right.
And it was easy to take those and whip them up into stories for Season 1 for only 5 episodes. Right. Then Season 2 happens,
and it became a job.
Now we're grinding, right?
Yeah,
now
exactly.
we're making sure. Oh shit! I gotta get my story done before the next.
It was a labor of love.
Trailer is supposed to drop.
Yes.
This Friday. I don't even have my story written. You know, and I gotta
artwork. We need artwork.
And there's artwork now. We got all kinds of artwork,
which is a great part too, I think.
Yeah. So Season 2 was a lot of work, but fun.
Yes.
Still fun.
Exactly.
And I mean, some of the best work I think that you and I have both done it happened in Season 2.
Yep.
I really enjoyed several of those stories. But at the end of the day, when we finally wrapped Season 2, I think the realization became, this is going to be difficult to do again.
Right.
So what if we shared the wealth in terms of, bringing more people into this? And there were other reasons why we decided to do that. But one of them was, let's lighten our load a little bit and give people who are just in the same situation as we are,
right,
who are probably in their 50s and who are very creative but have never really had a chance to do much with it, and who are starting now because they've got a little time now to do some things and get it out there, and maybe they're starting to see some success with some small websites and some small blogs and podcasts and things, and small journals and things. Let's give them another outlet to send their work in. And then the unique thing about what we do, instead of it all being just text, we produce it.
Right.
We make it a show. We make it an audio experience, right? And almost to the person, as far as the contributors go, every one of them were just tickled pink with what we did with it. Now, it wasn't like we were high-end, audio production kind of stuff, but for what it was, if you have a story that you wrote and, maybe you have submitted it and haven't had any luck getting it published anywhere, and then these two yahoos come along and say, hey, well, we'll take your story and we'll put music to it.
Bring
we'll
it to life.
Reader and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you hear it. I mean, it's a big deal. And so I think we made a lot of folks happy by doing that. But, yes, I have some notes about the contributors as well, but I'll let you finish your thoughts.
Well, that parlays that talking about the contributors and having them and being able to make it a production and things like that parlays into my second one, which is the AI ability to read and do justice to the stories that we probably could not have done as well with someone else's story.
Sure.
I struggled with mine from time to time, giving it justice, in my opinion, of reading my certain things.
Sure. Even though you have a lovely voice.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
So, yeah, I have a voice for, I got nothing. So anyway, the ability to have it vocalized the correct way with sound, with an environment, with audio was, the best part of bringing in the AI.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you, when we were attempting to get contributors, one of the promotional things I put out there to attract people to contribute, in my description, I was like, and an AI or an artificial intelligent reader will read your story.
Okay.
As part of that description of what we were suggesting that people do to submit stories to us, I got some pushback. There was pushback early on in some of the response to my ad going out there soliciting people to contribute. And so I changed it. I just took it out. I just said, hey, we'll just produce your story. It'll make it an audio production. I mean, I don't know if people consider that dishonest or disingenuous, but at the end of the day, it was kind of a formality, in my opinion. It wasn't like AI was writing your story,
right,
or AI was editing your story, or changing anything. All we were doing was getting something to read the story in a believable way,
in a correct way,
that sounded good.
Yeah,
and most of them I thought were great. And so it was really just a technicality.
Yeah.
So by taking that out, I think it took the stigma of the AI thing away, because, a year ago, maybe even, more than that, AI has been, there are people who love it and people who want to shit on it, and I'm still undecided which way I'm going with it, but certainly for the stuff that we did with it, I thought it did a tremendous job.
I do too.
So
it was a great tool.
Absolutely. A good tool for its purpose, and again, it wasn't that it wrote anything or that it edited anything. It merely just did what we asked it to, which was read the story
in
a compelling way. So, I'm sorry, continue.
I think another one would be to just our ability to collaborate, our system of putting the information together, communicating, and also the artwork. The artwork process was something that was really kind of different at the beginning, maybe not organized or whatever like that, but then it got to that point, and it's probably going to get even better going forward.
Yeah.
But as far as being able for both of us to contribute to the artwork part of it, I think that was a huge benefit to 2025 also, even though it kind of started in 2024.
Well, and the thing is that, so in the first season, right, all the artwork was basically you.
Right.
Okay? I was too busy doing other things, getting the stories produced, that kind of thing. And I was perfectly happy with what you produced and what we used. And then in the second season, you started us off, and then you got busy.
Mm-hmm.
You had some things in your personal life you had to take care of. And so I stepped in and produced a couple of things. And then towards the end of it, you came back and started doing some artwork. And that's when we started combining, collaborating on the artwork. And that's where we ended up in season 3. Mm-hmm. You produced the basics of it, the foundation of it, and then I came in and augmented it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that was true for all the artwork except for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Or 2 stories, I should say, where when it's one of my stories, I just insist on doing the artwork.
Oh, it makes sense.
Because I'm an asshole. But, yeah, that was Super Serial and The Legend of Umar the Sumerian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
and it worked. The style worked.
Just had to do that. But so anyway, I think the artwork is also a highlight of 2025.
I think another thing too for me specifically was us being able to go to the Joe Hill book signing and being able to see him speak, which was really cool because we had done actually a podcast on Joe Hill and Stephen King,
right?
And as being an influence,
yes,
to probably a lot of writers, not just us. And all the different avenues that they went down from comics to movies and things like that. But being able to see him there and listening to him speak and just seeing the living person that writes stuff just kind of normal like us was really, really interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, in that podcast that we did over the summer, so in the last 3 seasons, we would drop some special episodes over the summer that weren't story related. They were just topic related. And that one this year for season 3 was talking about Stephen King and Joe Hill. And while Stephen King is a favorite author of us both, Joe Hill is not just a favorite author, but kind of a role model in a lot of ways because of the work that he's done and the media that he's been a part of, the comics and everything else.
TV, things like that.
TV, sure, yeah. So it was really exciting to we didn't meet him, but we certainly got to see him and do his talk and get an insight into who he is and what he does and that kind of thing. So that is also one of my highlights of 2025, season 3, is that even though that wasn't part of the podcast per se, it's something that you and I, as the creators of this podcast, decided, hey, this is something we need to do together because this is feeding us good information and good content. It's sharpening the stone. Or
it's like if we read something or we watch something or whatever like that, when we're not writing or we're not doing a podcast, it gives us the motivation and the influence of just ideas and kicking ideas around. Yeah. And being able to be in the presence of and hearing a person who he's seems very personable and very normal. Yes. Even maybe even less normal, maybe more of a nerdish type of writer type person that but obviously has his father's influence, which is great. But he's able to give us kind of a motivation and maybe the ability to be able to do better for the podcast in general, as opposed to, it wasn't really anything to do with a podcast episode, as you said.
Right. But we still had that special episode over summer where we did discuss it a little bit. And by doing that made me more interested in him. I was not as familiar with him as you were.
Right.
And then doing the podcast forced me to read some of his stuff, and then going to see him, made me a believer.
Yeah.
I think he's an amazing author and very talented for sure.
And one of these days when I get done with the 900-page book, you'll be able to read it.
We got a free, free in that we bought tickets, and part of the ticket purchase was you got a book of his, or got his latest release, which is, help me out here, what's the name?
King of Sorrows.
King of Sorrows.
Yeah.
And he signed it for us before we got there. So he signed all these books. I can't imagine what that's like. Sitting there signing probably 1,000 books.
Auto pen.
Oh, well, hopefully,
or a stamp,
or something. I don't know, but
now it's our child, and the father Lawrence has not been able to see the child yet because mother me Derek is still taking care of the child, and it's 4 books in one, 4 novels in one, and I'm not even done with the first one exactly yet.
It's almost as thick as a cinder block. This thing.
It's like it was enhanced by, I guess not enhanced, but I guess he wanted it to be like the Stand.
I guess
it's freaking huge.
I mean, it could be a stand in and of itself. You could probably put you make it an end table or something. This thing's so thick. So yeah, take your time. I'm in no hurry.
And I think my last thing, and you kind of covered it, was being able to, from the very beginning of the podcast when we started, being able to have an outlet for us with the intention of possibly making it, which we did, available for others to use the outlet also, and get something out there, no matter how big or small, well, how small at this point, but get it out there to be able to have it and give it a voice and give it a life. And I think that's a really great thing that I think we advanced even more of it in 2025, but that's been since day one, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I agree. It is something that we've been our goal all along, but certainly this season, I think, has highlighted that and pushed it a little bit further along for us both. So, all right. Well, thank you. So that's your 5, and mine. I won't regurgitate on those points that you've mentioned that I agree with and are on my list. But let me just run down mine, and we'll talk about where I have different ideas and where we agreed on the same. My first highlight, I think, is something that you kind of mentioned in general about us collaborating. Every time that we get together, either on artwork or in writing, we have a good time. It's a lot of fun. Yep. And so the Please Stand By, the first episode of Season 3, where you and I are writing this story together and doing that collaboration, I think that was, again, part of the thrill of doing this kind of stuff and having so much fun with it. And in addition to that, other things about that episode, the idea or the premise of it was based on the War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells.
Oh my God. H.G. Wells, and then more kind of along the adaptation of Orson Welles' version of War of the Worlds, where he does this radio broadcast. That's more where the story's inspiration came from, and that's what we did. And then it aired on April 1st, April Fool's Day, which was the same day that Orson Welles aired his broadcast. So, again, an homage to Orson Welles and his version of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. And then it was the first time in a story that we produced where I used multiple voices. So it was more like an audio play versus a reading of a story.
Yes.
Or a dramatic reading of a story, even for that. There were multiple voices, and we used AI heavily in that. As instead of readers, they were more like AI actors. And mostly successful. I think there are a couple of things, if I could go back and fix, I would. And certainly as the AI technology gets better, they get more expressive, more emotional, and we can direct them a little better. I could go back and tweak that. But for the most part, I was really happy with the production of that episose and how it
was great.
out.
Yeah, it was like a radio play, as if you said.
Yeah.
And then it was also AI doing our voices, which was partly creepy and partly, pretty interesting.
We started to dip our toes into some really strange waters by cloning our voices, and instead of Derek and I literally reading this, we had our AI voices do most of our parts.
Right. And other than it being a little high-pitched to maybe us about 20 years ago, it pretty much was us.
Yeah. But there were some points where you just had to come in with the real deal.
Yeah.
And we had to record a certain line or something like that because AI just wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
And again, now maybe a year removed, it might have advanced to a point where it could have been much better, but it was fine. I think
As far as an experiment, it was successful.
I think it was very successful and had a lot of fun with it. So you mentioned the contributors. I too thought that was a highlight for Season 3, and just give me a second here to run them down.
Go right ahead.
Christopher Hayes, Mark Connolly, Sean O'Neill, Robert Pettis, Kevin Carey, Michaela Carmichael, Donna Kelly, Matthew Hampton, Jake Willis, Jason Harris, M.O. Stewart, T.S. Parnell, and Burke Duncan. All of those guys contributed stories to our Season 3, and we had so much fun working with them. And again, we are so grateful that they did and thankful that they were happy with the results of what we produced.
It was great to be able to read and feel the excitement within the writings of other people doing what we like to do ourselves and the thing that we really like. All the contributors were just the best to be able to read and see. And I like that they were so different, the stories and the different atmospheres they pulled in, different environments, different ways they came to a topic and a subject matter. It was great to experience.
Yeah,
for me.
it was certainly a fresh number of perspectives that were injected into this podcast, which I thought was really cool. So, and then my third highlight, getting more specific about these contributions. The first half of the season, we had Indulgente del Gallo by Christopher Hayes. It was a classic ferryman story with kind of a Hispanic feel and tone to it, and really dealt into the culture of that. From that perspective, I appreciated that immensely. Flashes and Mean Girls by Mark Connolly. Both of them had that Twilight Zone feel, which I love, Twilight Zone.
Yes.
Galloway Banshee by Sean O'Neill. This is just a traditional ghost story, but told with such an Irish flavor to it that it was just really, really cool.
It put you in that area.
Exactly. Great storytelling. And then The Shore of Ararat, which just took my legs out from under me, man. This dark story with such a gut punch ending. Again, Robert, you are a very talented person. You have a very imaginative imagination, and you come up with some really creepy shit. I mean, oh my God, that was really good. So that's that part. So and then you mentioned the whole Joe Hill, Stephen King thing. So certainly the special episode over the summer, and then us attending that Joe Hill reading later in the year was another one of my highlights. That would be number 4. And then my last one, so I'm going to just puff up the rest of the season by saying that the second half of the season is my 5th highlight. And why I say that, again, I have such respect and admiration for these contributors. So you got Hillsborough and The Holly and the Ivy. Hillsborough by Kevin Carey, The Holly and the Ivy by Michaela Carmichael. We came back from the break with just a 1-2 punch that will just knock you out. And if you haven't listened to that episode, you should really check it out, because those two authors are very talented, and those two stories will set you on your ass.
And that was a great problem to have, because we did kind of have those discussions.
Yeah.
You probably scheduled a little bit more because you were doing the audio portion of it, or just kind of whatever. We're going by the story that we read. We read all of these stories.
Yeah,
we didn't just throw it into AI and publish it. We read all of these stories. We took it in. And being able to have a great problem, so many good ones, and okay, at some point they're going to be back to back, and it's like I felt, in my opinion, I was like, well, I sure the hell don't want to follow any of that stuff, because these people are way better than I am.
Yeah, we weren't putting any of our stories in that episode.
No, I don't want to be the next episode, because they might remember it. I want to be two after it.
Right. So then the next episode, The Mine at Cachiti Lake by Donna Kelly. This is just a great monster story. And the writing style was something I really, the tone of the story was something I really related to. It has that edgy modern feel to it that I really appreciate. And so I thought that was really cool. The Hill You Die On by Matthew Hampton. Again, another Twilight Zone-y story with this skeleton just appearing and warning him of different things that might be coming his way. Again, just that classic Twilight Zone story.
Like a fable.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Discovery was nice because it had a funny ending and threw you for a little bit of a loop there.
Yes.
Look at Me by Jason Harris, a creepy and dark ghost story. Tapping by M.O. Stewart. Now, this one was one that probably stood out because of it being, even though it's still a classic horror ghost story, it stood out because of the subject matter. It's not something we were familiar with.
Right.
And M.O. Stewart did such a good job of portraying what that life is like and drawing us in to the details of how it's done and the specifics about what they use. And then weaving that ghost story and that horror story actually into it with a gut punch ending that, kind of freaked you out.
Yeah, it
for
did.
Sure.
It did.
Casual Friday, I loved it. I mean, I can't tell you how much fun I had with that. It was so funny and so well done by T.S. Parnell. And then the last-minute entry that kind of came in towards the end of the season, but we liked it so much, we thought, hey, let's put this in. We had some time to inject it into the schedule. Lesson Plan by Burke Duncan. Again, it's kind of funny. We kind of bookended the season with zombie stories. With Please Stand By one, and then you got this Lesson Plan one. So, again, it's such a great story. And, of course, we ended the season with our collaboration of Killing Santa Claus. But I just wanted to highlight those contributors because they did such a good job and their stories were so great, and we were so thankful to have been a part of using them and putting them into the podcast.
Yes, and I was also very thankful being able, because I tried to do the majority of kind of the ideas of the artwork and tried to encompass and think of something in there that I like when the artwork doesn't give it away, but it doesn't completely not show something involved in it.
Right.
And even the names of them were great. That's what I kind of like that type of thing when I do my stories.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, the artwork, I hope everyone liked, but I enjoyed doing, and I think we did a pretty good job with our collaboration on our art too.
Yeah, no, I had fun doing it for sure. You came up with some really cool ideas, so it was really fun to work with that. So we've got the highlights of Season 3, and now 2026 lies ahead. It's just a couple days away. Well, actually, by the time this podcast drops, it will already be 2026. So let's look ahead, put our, I don't know what kind of glasses you wear to look into the future, but
we'll call it a crystal ball?
Yes, let's look at the crystal ball.
No, I guess it's a little more clear in a crystal ball.
We could do that. So we're going to look into 2026 and just give you a hint at what we are thinking about what's coming for the podcast and for things that we do. Again, we talked about in the last episode commentary that you and I have formed a production company called Shady Basement Productions, LLC.
Yes.
And so the idea there was not just producing the Shade Chronicles podcast, but producing other content.
Yes.
And that is one of the things on the list for 2026 is a new podcast called The Perfect Movie. And in it, Derek and I discuss a list of what we consider are the perfect movie. And it's not that these movies are perfect because they're award winners.
Oh, no.
Or the best movie, best story, best literature ever created. It is more about the experience. It's about when you sit down to watch a movie, you want a movie that thoroughly entertains and that you are satisfied at the end.
And some of these can be things that it takes us back to a feeling or a time we had when we actually saw it. And even though it may not hold up for everybody, it probably does for us.
Right. And it could be that it's, again, not the greatest literature ever written or the greatest film ever produced. It is a satisfying movie that you have a good time at, and if you went to pay to see it, you would not be disappointed.
Yeah.
You know,
Agreed.
it's not one of these movies it's not a movie necessarily that makes you feel something at the end. You just feel good.
Mm-hmm.
You just feel like, hey, man, I just saw a really good movie. And I can talk to my friends about it.
It's worth seeing.
I can share with other people that this is worth seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it has some profound meaning.
No.
Necessarily. And trust me, a lot of these movies, at least on my list, are not not very profound.
Well, they were profound to me, but then I got
Yes.
we have this weird sense of humor. So.
Yeah, you know, they meant something at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They touched a certain part of us, but they're not necessarily things that will change the world.
Mm-hmm.
So just give you a little bit of a heads up on that one. So that is something that's coming in 2026, probably sooner rather than later. And so the next project on the list for 2026, this one may be something that occurs a little later in 2026 because of the nature of how much work is involved. We are planning on doing a graphic novel, and we have a working title, which I'll hold off on sharing for now. But we are planning to take stories from the podcast and put that in a visual form in this graphic novel. Now, mostly what I thought we were doing initially is just stories that you and I wrote.
Correct.
Okay. There may be an opportunity to incorporate some other things,
Mm-hmm.
but that's still discussions that have yet to be had.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Before we move forward. So the artwork primarily being generated by Derek and myself,
Mm-hmm.
although there was some discussions
Mm-hmm.
about bringing in some additional help
Yes.
on that just to be able to produce this thing in a timely manner.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be some other versions or other contributions as far as the artwork goes. And then, so that would be something on the calendar probably again later 2026.
I think it's something we would love to be able to do right away. However,
Yes.
I don't think that's realistic for us, and I don't think it's realistic that it has to be done right away because I think it's something that could be its own thing like the book.
Yeah.
The book is a book of stories. Yes, it's connected to a podcast, but it's a book of stories that you can always read. You don't have to have anything going on with the first season of the second season of the podcast. The book, another thing that kind of comes from the creation of the podcast.
Yes.
But it can also be its own standing thing.
Right.
That can be that way. However, having contributors, having the stories come in, things like that, if we go that route, it would be nice to get it finished. However, I can see it being started for sure, getting going next year.
Yeah, for sure. And so you mentioned the book, and so while the book is out there, first 2 seasons worth of stories, now we have a 3rd season that's complete, even though most of those stories are contributed by other folks. Certainly, you wrote a number of stories, and I wrote a handful of stories that we could update the book with those stories and republish it as maybe a second edition or something like that. So that's on the table as well, that we relaunch the book with maybe some new content.
Yes.
And then lastly, there's a couple of little ancillary things, like maybe Derek and I attend some trade shows that are favorable to the kind of content that we're creating.
Podcast creators, comics, books, things
sure.
like that.
Right, sure. So that may be something we start investigating and maybe get out there and start trying to meet people and see who might be out there listening. New merchandise designs. We just recently dropped a new design for some of the merch that we have out there that Derek generated, and I own 2 things now with that design on it.
Right.
A shirt and a coffee mug.
Yeah, the coffee mugs are
Somebody
cool.
got me a coffee mug with that design on it, and I really enjoy it. So it's great to have that. But lastly, season 4 would be the other thing that we're looking at. And while we are hoping to launch it in 2026, these other projects that we're mentioning, these other things that we're working on, will certainly steal from our time and maybe delay that launch of season 4. But when we do launch Season 4, I think it'll be very similar to Season 3. We'll go out maybe again to some of the contributors that offered their content for Season 3 and maybe try to find a few new ones.
Yes.
And I didn't tell you this, but just yesterday.
Breaking news.
Yeah, just yesterday, I already came up with the Christmas episode for Season 4. The concept, anyway, that I will pitch you and see what you think.
I think I already had one myself.
Well, maybe there'll be some competition with that. So,
anyway, never mind.
Yes, so that's the outlook for 2026, including all the content and the things that we were talking about producing in 2026. So we hope that if you are listening and you're excited about that you'll be supportive of that when it comes out. We'll let you know, certainly, as we move on. There's nothing to say that in the weeks ahead or the months ahead, even before Season 4 drops, that we may not drop a special episode of the podcast that would be more related to the kind of things that we're doing now, informative as opposed to story-driven kind of things. So we will make sure that you're aware when those drop. But certainly the new podcast that we're hoping to produce and get out there fairly soon will be something else that will have more information about what we're doing in 2026. So anyway, with that, you got any other thoughts?
I just want to say that it's been great working with the contributors, obviously working with you and having this this year and third one in a row here of being able to have the podcast. Looking ahead to 2026, I think that it's something that we're going to continue to do. The length of it, the size of it can vary. Our contribution to it could maybe be behind the scenes like it was a lot in 2025, or it could be more ahead of the game. But the thing is that it's been enjoyable. I see more things to come, and the goal at this point, I feel, for us is that we have this collection of information, this collection of stories that I think are all good, ours and others, and I think it needs to soak for a bit. I think we need some other earballs on it to be able to see how good it is while we continue to do other things to promote it. And that's what I think our goal is going to be, at least for the first part of 2026.
Absolutely.
But I thank everybody for their contribution and all that.
Yeah. Again, I agree. I also echo Derek's thoughts on that. I am very appreciative of all the contributions and certainly look forward to what's coming down the road for that as well. And so with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this 2025 Season 3 of the Shade Chronicles Podcast. We thank you for listening, appreciate your listening and participation in this podcast. I am Lawrence Trokey.
I'm Derek Leftridge.
And again, have a happy and healthy 2026.
Thank you, and have a great year.
Thanks again for listening to the Shade Chronicles. For comments or inquiries, you can contact us at shadechron@gmail.com. That's SHADECHRON@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also get more information at theshadechronicles.com. The Shade Chronicles Podcast is the creative property of Derek Leftridge and Lawrence Trokey. Any attempt to replay for broadcast or distribution portions of any episode of the Shade Chronicles without the prior written consent from the creators and or significant compensation is strictly prohibited. Shame on you for even thinking about it in the first place. Thanks again for listening. Tune in next time for another episode of the Shade Chronicles.
This has been a Shady Basement production.